Okay, we will go ahead and call the March 3rd meeting of the Board of Directors to order. Can we take roll, please?
Ms. Atkins. Ms. McDaniel. Here. Mrs. Peterson. Here. Mrs. Sheffel. Here. Mr. Sorensen.
Here.
Mr. Sturm.
Here.
Mr. Wright.
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the March 3rd, 2025 agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Vote, please.
Mrs. McDaniel. Yes. Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mrs. Sheffel. Mr. Sorensen.
Yes.
Mr. Sturm.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes. At this time, I would like to open a public hearing per Iowa Code 26.12 for a public improvement project for the high school fire alarm.
So the high school fire alarm, essentially what we're looking to do is the whole system is kind of obsolete, not even kind of, it is, they don't make parts for it anymore. So we need to replace the fire alarm system in general. Some of the things that have changed since the fire alarm was originally put in, for instance, they used to allow a tone fire alarm, now they require us to have, like, it's like a speaking fire alarm, it'd be like, exit the building, building's on fire, you know, because if you can't tell that already, like, it's got to be able to tell it to you. And then, you know, visual sensors and those types of things. So what's required now is different than what was required in 2000 when it was put in. So in order to update it all, take out all of the current equipment in the front end unit, put in a new front end head unit, the total cost is estimated about $250,000. So this has all been part of the bond money that's set aside for safety and security. So making sure that we have those systems updated is pretty crucial. At one point, it was estimated that as many as maybe 10% of our sensors are not currently functioning. So that's probably not great in a school. So we need to make sure that we go through and fix that. The ones that are functioning tend to go off at random times. So we like the ones, you know, it's just time. So we'll go out to bid and get those back in end of the month, beginning of April, to have you guys review and approve. So, and then that'll be installed this summer.
Okay, then as part of it being a public hearing, we now open the floor up to public comment, if there's any. Nobody's here for the fire alarm? Okay. All right. At that point, then we will adjourn the public hearing for the high school fire alarm, and we will move forward with commendations and good news.
So I have quite the crowd here tonight. Yep, you can bring them in. So one of the things we wanted to do is start bringing in more people to have the board recognize, have a conversation with. So the first group that I'm bringing in here, and we will throughout the next few months, every board meeting, bring in different groups. So this time it's just fresh in our mind. We're just getting through with our winter sports seasons. So we want to bring in our winter athletes to have recognized the ones that qualified for state. So we have a mixture of wrestling teams, both boys and girls wrestling teams. We have boys and girls bowling teams. We have swim teams. We have, that's what we have. So what I'd like to do is just kind of have each coach with your athletes kind of step up to the microphone, talk about, just give a quick, brief overview about your season, particularly state, like how we did at state, who qualified, and then at the end we'll take a few pictures and then we'll let you guys go on your way. But just want to make sure we recognize you and your accomplishments, because there's not a whole lot of kids that make it to state ever, and so especially not by the way we won. We have a couple champions in here, so that's awesome, and other medalists, which is great. So why don't we go ahead and have Coach Mann step up first? I know he loves public speaking, so yep, to the mic. Yep, just to the microphone. Yep.
All right, so we had 8 girls state qualifiers. They were the regional champs for the 3rd year in a row. We had 6 state placers and 2 state champs at the girls state tournament this year. One being her second time being a state champ, and Avea Smith being the first time state champ as a sophomore. The girls placed 4th as a team in Class 2A for the 3rd straight year in a row. The boys had 9 state qualifiers, 3 state placers. They were Weston Porter, Joe Manji, and Paxton Blanchard. And I'll go back to the girls, sorry. Our state placers and the girls were state champ Avea Smith, 3rd place Emerson Gregg, 6th place Casti Fiala, 1st place Mari Mans, 5th place Kaylin Westerfield, 6th place, and she's not here right now, Madison Wright. The boys ended up placing 14th at the state tournament, and both teams had a great tournament. It was really fun. When the girls got on a roll, one started winning, and another. And we went on a couple rolls like that in a couple rounds, and it kept us busy. But as coaches and as a team, we were having a blast at the tournament and stuff. And the boys, as everyone knows, it's a very tough state tournament, and they had to get through some really tough round on Friday to get into the medal rounds. And the three boys that placed did a really good job representing the school and getting on the medal stand and competing with some of the best in the state and in the nation.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
You guys, what was the experience like at state? Anybody want to talk about it?
It was fun. I don't know. Yeah.
I would say because it was my last year, I think I was more so looking to place, so I wasn't like having it as fun. So like the first day was, all right, it's serious, and then the second day when I knew I was gonna place no matter what, I was all smiles, and I was I don't know, it was more fun this last day because I knew it was the last day.
Very cool.
The first day was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much the rest of the time?
That's it.
Oh, just-
Yeah, the first day was fun. The second day wasn't fun.
Oh.
The whole thing was fun, except for the second day, because kind of got DQ'd, but yeah.
It was pretty fun. It was a cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed this experience. It's been a while since I got to wrestle, so being able to finish on the podium is pretty good.
It's awesome.
I had a great time.
Great.
Whole time.
Yeah, it was fun being with the team for the last time, and the environment was pretty cool.
Very cool. It's awesome. How many of you guys are seniors? Okay. Is anybody going on to wrestle at the next level? A couple of you? Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. Well, it's a great way to finish up your senior years, and the rest of you, we'll hopefully see you back next year, back on the podium. That's great. Any comments from the board or about wrestling?
How did you guys celebrate after you were done wrestling? Did you indulge in ice cream
Yeah, we
or?
went to Freddy's and got
Yeah.
I had a gallon, or it was half gallon of ice cream. We just sat in the hotel lobby.
That
and
was-
I ate the whole thing.
Well
I
played.
don't know. I got home and just kind of ate everything at
Yeah.
night, so, but yeah.
It's awesome. Now you get a break, right? You don't have to hit the mat again until next October, right?
Unless you do freestyle, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing freestyle, so I
No,
can
I'm
go
just-
back.
I'm just joking. You guys are crazy. You're probably back on the mat next week. So, but no. Well, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congrats.
I'm going to have you guys, while we talk to the next group, I'm going to have you guys go probably right over here, and I'll have Miss Hartman, or I'll have Emma take a quick picture of you guys if you don't mind. So, thank you guys so much. All right, next up, I'll have Mr. Bruce, legend in his own right, step up and talk about swimming.
Yes, thank you. What?
Yep, I think.
I can yell. Thank you for helping me, or having me over. This pool was built in 1979, so this is the 46th year of high school swimming at Lewis Central. I have to tell you, you have a great facility. I've been to many pools in my time coaching, and this is one of the top 8-lane pools, which is very rare to a lot of the school districts, and it is one of the top 10 facilities, and you have done a good job keeping care of that and giving us, school board and Booster Club, giving us money for starting blocks, lane ropes, whatever. We've appreciated it. We have, I've kept, since I've been there, the fastest top 10 swimmers. It's easy to do in swimming or track their time. The top 10 swimmers in each event that have been in the Lewis Central top 10 in the last, years, 49 years. or 46 years. So I want to introduce a couple of them tonight. Is Rio here? Okay, Rio Hammett, a freshman, was we do outstanding swimmer every year, and it's really by points that they score during dual meets and invitationals and stuff, and that's our Lewis Central top 10. Lewis Central, our girls winner this year in the Lewis Central top 10 was Rio Hammett. She's a freshman. She's a freshman, and like I said, we keep the top 10. In her freshman year, in the 200 freestyle, she was 6th fastest all time. The IM, she was individual IM, 8th place, 8th fastest. 50 freestyle, 4th fastest. 100 freestyle, 3rd fastest in the last 49 years. And some reason I put her in 100 breaststroke that she doesn't normally swim, and now she's the 6th fastest in 100 breaststroke. Okay, that's good coaching, I guess. I want to recognize Jimmy Cook is behind us here. Jimmy, come on up. Get a little closer here. Jimmy's a senior. This is his last year in swimming, and from what I understand, he's still going to be back in our pool next year because he's applied to be at Iowa Western Community College.
Awesome, very cool.
So in the top 10 in the 200, he's 2nd fastest. In the 200 IM, 7th fastest. In the 50 free, 6th fastest. In the 100 free, 4th fastest. The 500 free, 6th fastest. And 100 back, 8th fastest. There's 8 individual events, and she's in the top 10 in 6 of those 8. Wow. So again, he was our team leader this year, and in team scoring, he's the 7th, scored the most, 7th place in scoring the most points in the last 49 years. Jimmy Cook.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So how was state this year? Was it fun?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really dropped standing wise from the previous years. My first year was sophomore when I qualified, and I finished more towards the end. And then junior, I didn't even make it back for finals. And then this year I was able to make it back in all my events.
It's awesome.
And swim in the A final. So it was a lot of fun being with the top guys in the state.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
And you're not done yet, huh?
No.
No.
Not
Keep
done.
swimming.
In swimming, there's only one class.
Yeah, I know.
So
Yeah.
if you're 4th place, you're the 4th fastest in the state.
In the whole state. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I mean,
Super
there's one
impressive.
class in swimming.
Nice. Are you like the wrestlers? Like as soon as you were done, you can wait to eat, or do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were certain things that I wasn't eating up to the meet, and then I was happy to get back.
What's your
eat.
go-to thing to eat then?
I mean, I really like a foot long from Subway.
Oh, there you
There
go.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. It's like a commercial going on here. Well, thank you guys for coming. and
Yeah.
Congratulations on your success. and
Congratulations.
Spending all this time with this young man here. So, thank you for all the work you do.
In
too,
our youth
Bruce.
program, he's been through that, so I've
Yeah.
known him for quite a few years.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, yeah.
long time. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys. If you guys
Yeah. Thanks
pop
for
over
having
here
us.
real quick, we'll take a quick picture of you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And then last but definitely not least, we have our state champions here, our bowlers. So somebody want to volunteer to come up and,
So I get to talk about the bowlers because Coach Oden is he's in North Carolina actually at a family issue. He's in North Carolina, so I'm sure you all heard it. Maybe you saw the KMA video that was out there. That was Caleb in the video. But these guys, these are the 2 seniors, Caleb Hodwalker and Jaden Mulligan. They're the 2 captains of our boys bowling team. I think it was second meet of the year, maybe first meet of the year. They set school record. And so we knew it was going to be a pretty good year, and bowling is kind of one of those. It's if you've ever been to a bowling meet, it's crazy atmosphere. It's really loud, and momentum. I've never been on a bowling team, and so I first came to Lewis Central and was watching bowling. It was amazing to me how much momentum played a huge part in it. When you get to state, it's very fast, and you're going against other teams, and there's a lot of pressure because if you have an open frame, that could be it for your team. So what these guys did was awesome. They got hot. I know Caleb was as our anchor, and I think at least 2 of our matches it came down to it was our anchor against their anchor, and he came through, and Jade and obviously the rest of the team. I don't know if you know, I was actually in Hawaii when this was happening, but thanks to technology, Derek Martin from KMA was tweeting out, and I'm watching, and I start texting Dr. Hazing, like, hey, are you paying attention to this? Like, I think we're going to win state title in bowling.
I was one who
So-
told you they won. It's like 12 seconds after we tweeted, I'm like, we won.
We won, yeah. So, yeah, it was awesome. These guys did a great job and had a great year. And there's a lot of ups and downs in bowling. Like I said, very much momentum based. And these 2 guys are very even keeled and were great leaders all year long from. So I know Coach Oden would say the same thing. So, great job, guys. Thank you.
And how was the state experience? You guys have gone to state pretty much every year, right?
I've gone except for one. I've gone 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very loud and everything's moving fast. You don't know what's going on. It's very competitive.
Yeah.
Very competitive.
So at what point did you guys know that you were going to win state?
Um,
Like on the drive over there?
That's what they kept saying, but we were fully convinced. Yeah, I think after the second game in the final Baker set, I think we knew then that we had a really good, strong chance of winning. So.
And that's a best of 5, right?
Yep, best of 5.
And you jumped up 2-0.
Yeah, so we were up 2-0, and at that point it set in like, okay, we could do this. They can get 1 point, and we're still fine,
Yeah.
And they ended up getting 1 more point, but we didn't lose by much. But I had a feeling all day. I don't know. I had a weird feeling like something good was going to happen. But I didn't think we were going to win like that.
Oh, man. How exciting is that? The nice thing about bowling is you can eat all the time. Like, you don't have to wait. It's not like the other ones. Like, you can literally eat a cheeseburger as you're bowling. So.
We had a bag full of snacks.
Nice.
Yeah,
Doesn't that create sodium in your fingers, though? You get a little swollen.
Use your opposite hand.
Yeah.
We bowled 24 games.
Wow.
Holy cow.
24, like 10 frame games?
Yeah. Yep.
Jiminy Christmas.
It was a long day.
That is a long.
What time did we start? We got to the bowling alley at 1, and I don't think we left until 10. So yeah.
Jeez.
That's a long day.
That's awesome, though.
You got to stay focused that whole time?
No, we were.
Oh,
We're focused. Like, we like to have fun, and that's the way that keeps our team rolling. Is like we have fun,
Yeah.
and we have like good energy and stuff like that. But we also like when we had to go up and bowl, we like lock in. We know what we need to do, and we execute our shot.
So what's funny is when a lot of other people go to state, like basketball, wrestling, etc., like to blow off steam, they go bowl. It's like, what do bowlers do? Like when you're at state, like how do you can't imagine you're just going to the bowling alley to
Yeah.
We went duck pin bowling the night before, so.
I tried that. That is incredibly hard.
Yeah, it's.
Okay.
Yeah. We used that to blow off some steam the night before.
And swimming too.
Oh yeah, we
At the
went
hotel.
swimming, so.
Nice.
Just spending time together as a team helps a lot.
Very cool. Are you guys, either one of you, bowling at the next level, do you think?
I'm going out.
He is for sure.
Awesome.
I'm still debating on it, so.
Okay,
We'll see.
awesome. Very cool. Anybody else have anything for them?
Just want to say congrats. I know bowling is a tough sport.
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really fun to see you guys killing it out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm just curious how many teams you guys sub on? Because all my friends, they're always looking for subs. So when your names get out, expect a call.
Have you heard? I'm starting a team myself. They're
Oh, there you go. There you go.
As long as they can carry my 107 average, we're pretty good. So, yep. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm probably the least public speaking coach of all of our coaches here at the high school. My 2 young ladies that were supposed to be with me tonight were Alexandria Ford and Kendall Carnes. Alexandria will be bowling with College of St. Mary next year.
Awesome.
Very cool.
And Kendall Carnes will be bowling with Midland. So that's
awesome.
pretty neat. This year was the 4th year in a row that the girls made it to state. The first 2 years that we went to state, we won back-to-back state championships. And then they came out with the Lewis Central rule, which basically just changed the format of the state tournament. Before, you used to bowl 15 Baker games, and then it would place you 1 through 8. and then one would bowl 8, 2 would bowl 7, and then, you know, everybody had a chance to win. But last year, they changed it to only the top 4 teams after Bakers gets a chance at the championship. So we've been lucky quite a few times, making it by 5, 6, 7 pins. And this year, unfortunately, in the 9th frame, we had to split our freshman from Underwood, Beth Rasmussen, and that cost us our fourth overall spot. Lamar's was one. I know that Lamar's, we go head to head with Lamar's, we could have beat Lamar's 3-0. And then Keokuk's just, man, they're a different monster. That Keokuk team is incredible. So we bowled 24 games also. So we were 5th. We had to bowl Oskaloosa, and we tied 1 game. So we had to go all the way to the 6th game, and we beat them. We were 3.5 to 2.5 games. And then we went on to bowl Denison, and we wreck Denison every year, so they do not like us. We had 3 girls individually, Kate Reed, Laura Hargens, and Beth Rasmussen. Unfortunately, they did not make it out of the top 8. So still a good year.
Yeah.
You know, 5th in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's nothing to hang your head about. I know we usually like to try to send our seniors out on top, but unfortunately.
Fifth in the state's pretty on top. Like,
Yeah.
there's not much more on top.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I mean, you know, we live by the sword, we die by the sword. You know, we, districts, I think we won first place by 6 pins. So you're talking 1 spare.
Yeah.
Basically.
Mhm.
1 more spare and you're there, so.
So you graduate 2 seniors, and then you return the rest is?
Well, we're graduating 8 seniors.
8 seniors.
So our whole JV, our JV team, the JV girls team was won in first place in the Hawk 10 this year.
Wow, okay.
First place in the city, along with our girls. The girls took first place. So TJ came up with a big trophy because they had good teams back then, and they were like, hey, we have bowlers, and our girls have won 5 of the last 8 city championships.
Wow. That's awesome.
So.
I remember a couple of years you were struggling to fill.
Oh, yeah.
The JV team, so nice job growing the
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, and then it got to, like, I was coaching 50 to 60 kids.
Wow.
And when Mr. Hale was here, I was like, can I get an assistant? No, it's not in the budget. It's not in the budget. I'm like, you ever try to take care of 60 kids at practice? That's hard. So, you know, we got Nick Oden this year. He's been a great addition to the program. Really good guy. So this sky's the limit for this bowling team.
Sweet.
So.
Well, thank you guys. Or thank you and
Thank you.
the whole team and everybody else. So congratulations.
All right. Thank you.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we're good. All right, next I have Titan Hill is here to give a quick demonstration or talk about their literacy coaching that they do. So.
Good evening. I am Michelle Hoffman. I'm the associate principal over at Titan Hill Intermediate. We are excited to be able to bring some teachers to share their experience with our reading and writing literacy program at Titan Hill. With us, I have a 3rd grade teacher, a 5th grade, second, third, and fifth, grade teacher with me, as well as one of our instructional coaches. Mrs. Barker, our school principal, was unable to join us this evening, but she did ask that I share a few words, so I'm going to read from her message. She wanted to send her apologies for not being able to be here tonight. Her daughter has show choir banquet, and she is quickly learning how fast those high school memories or years go by, so she is attending with her daughter tonight. That's why she's unable to be here. Titan Hill adopted Faunus and Pinnell Classroom and began its implementation in the fall of 2023. This resource includes the following components for reading instruction: interactive read aloud, reading mini lesson, shared reading, phonics and word study. We added on the writing mini lessons this last year. Throughout the implementation journey, one of our priorities was to provide adequate support to teachers as they became familiar with the resource. We have spent tens of thousands of dollars on amazing support and training from Heinemann and our personal consultant, Christy Wright. Christy has done full staff professional learning for each component of the FPC in 4 to 6 hour increments. Perhaps the most impactful experience with Christy has been our one-on-one intensive coaching sessions. She has visited us for 4 days each for interactive read aloud, reading mini lesson, and just last week for writing mini lesson. This provided every classroom teacher with the opportunity to have 20-minute observation with Christy, along with a 20-minute feedback and reflection session tailored to each teacher's experience. To create a lasting impact of this work, our instructional coaches and both building administrators participated as well. This builds our capacity to continue this work developing literacy instruction through coaching, professional learning, walkthroughs, and feedback through our evaluation process. Today, we have a few of our coaches and teachers here to share the impact of these coaching experiences on themselves, their instruction, and their students. One of the most amazing things we are seeing with this new resource is that we have not seen before at Titan Hill is that our students openly love reading and writing. These have become their favorite parts of the day. This is profound because in order to be a great reader and writer, our students have to enjoy reading and writing and want to read and write. Our resource provides authentic, high-interest text in which all students can see themselves represented. We are so proud of our teachers for their hard work, learning, and flexibility through this amazing journey, and we are excited to share some of this with you tonight. One of our second grade teachers that was not able to join also wanted to share her experience. Kristen Longmire is the teacher in second grade, so I will go ahead and also read hers, and then you can hear firsthand from some of our teachers. Kristen wrote, I am grateful for the coaching sessions with Christy as it has changed the way I teach writing lessons. Rather than producing writing projects every day, students are given more flexibility in what they write and how they write in their writing notebooks. They are able to practice the principle immediately after the mini lesson in whatever writing interests them, and I am able to interact more closely with them because I can walk around and confer as I go. Through coaching, I have really learned the importance of sharing and repeating learning goals. I have made it a standard within my lesson to state the learning goal, repeat the learning goal, and come back to it at the end and review the learning goal. I have seen a drastic change in my students' abilities to write, and their passion for writing has improved significantly. Their writer's notebooks are near and dear to them, and now I appreciate it I appreciate it so much.
All right, who's next? My name is Mindy Brewer, and I'm a second grade teacher at Titan Hill. And Dr. Christy Wright, she's the person that's been coming to do our professional development. And one of the things we're really lucky with Christy is that she helped to write a lot of the resource. So a lot of times you might get somebody leading a professional development who knows technically the information, but they don't really know it from their soul. And I'm sure these guys will tell you Christy knows it from her soul because she helped her to write it. So that's been a really great opportunity to hear kind of from the source how the different components can be integrated and that kind of stuff. And also this may seem counterintuitive, but teaching can be a really solitary profession. You're surrounded by people, but most of the time they're not your peers. And so it's so comforting almost. It seems silly, but when you talk with Christy, she's so warm and she's so enthusiastic, and I have not talked to one person at Titan Hill who has not felt that she was a positive influence in their experience, because like I said, she's so warm and she's so friendly, and she gives you some of that positive feedback that we get from others. But like I said, because she's kind of the expert, it just feels really validating to hear that information from her. So we've been extremely blessed to be able to have that input from Christy.
I'm Susan Drewstrup, and I teach third grade at Titan Hill. And I would just echo everything that they have already shared. I have just so thoroughly enjoyed this new program that we have now had. Some of us launched it a year earlier than the others in the building, since we're on the reading and writing lead team. And it's just been so fun to watch the kids' excitement. Like, they are really disappointed if for some reason we don't get to a read aloud for that day, whether it's because we had a fire drill or a guest speaker came to the building. Like, they want to make sure we get it in. They are so connected to the books. They come in a collection, and they just adore this program. And the writing this year that we added, I've just seen it's like a breath of fresh air has been brought into the building, that they are excited. They have choice in their writing. It's not so dictated that we've done before. And then also, like they've said, our professional development with Christy, she understands. She's been in the trenches, she's been in the classroom, she's been a principal, and like they said, she helped write both components of reading and writing. So she can speak to the lessons and what's great about them, and sometimes that they still need some tweaking to them, and she's just very approachable. So we've really enjoyed all of our time with her and as a staff working together. So it's been great.
Okay, I'm like hearing everybody. I'm trying to wrap my head around things. So my perspective might be just a little bit different because I kind of fell in love with this philosophy of Fontaine classroom of creating this authentic, meaningful readers and writers and critical thinking in the community as they grow up. I fell in love with that 18 years ago. And I'm a huge nerd, and I teach classes on it, and I read about it, and I go learn about it. And so me and Christy like geek out. And so my time with her is just like super exciting and validating. But my thoughts coming here was more on a system level. So it made me think of this poem by Stephen Lane. He's a children's author. He writes books for teachers. He travels the world talking to teachers about reading, and he has a poem about illiteracy. And as he goes through this poem and talks about illiteracy, he talks about how we're living in a world where it's not so much the concern of illiteracy here, but illiteracy, where we have humans that know how to read but choose not to. Like never choose to read. And that's an issue that concerns me. And so that is where this curriculum resource is going, of not only the science of reading, of teaching kids how to read and think well, but also creating this love of learning. And so that kind of teaching, you have to have the knowledge, but also the art of teaching. And you can't just buy this and put it in a teacher's hand and pick up these skills. You need people like Christy and the professional development to make that all come together. We could pick up a different curriculum where we all follow the same directions and do that. But to be able to have Christy and be able to learn the skills to like teach in this deeper way, it's just like so exciting for me. So thank you.
I'm Katie Kinsella. I'm an instructional coach at Titan Hill, and I found this experience really valuable because not only did she help our teachers and coaches and administrators learn more about the resource, she's helping to reinforce strong instructional practices that are good teaching no matter what the literacy resource is. And so I've felt like this experience has been particularly helpful because it's reinforcing some of those practices that we want to happen in all classrooms, that kids have opportunities to talk about what they're learning, that they have opportunities to write about it, that they are, teachers are reinforcing that learning goal over and over so that students are hearing that rigorous academic language multiple times throughout a lesson. And so when Christy is coaching, she's modeling for us as coaches and administrators how we might support teachers when they're maybe they're struggling, maybe they just need an extra little nudge, but she's helping us to see those connections as well. So I found a lot of value from the experience.
All right, does anybody have any questions of our wonderful teachers here?
Do you have any cool stories about from the kids' standpoint, like any kids who you've seen just excel because of everything or your approach to the reading and literature?
I was thinking we got some of our funding. We have I think somebody mentioned we have these text sets. They're usually 5 or 6 books that are on a certain theme, and we got some additional funds to buy a second set that was available because we have to kind of keep our teacher set, so they don't get lost. So we were able to buy a second set that the kids have access to, and it's just amazing that I have mine out on a little shelf, and every day they are going to that shelf and getting those books. Kids that are reluctant readers or they can't find anything they want to read, they are going to that shelf and they're getting those books because they've gotten interested when we read them as a class, and now they're reading them individually as well.
I can elaborate a little bit on that too. When we were in your room just this last week for the writing lessons, your second graders were they were all seated on the floor during a writing mini lesson, and literally they were jumping up off the floor, like, because they were so excited about writing that they were jumping out of their seats. And I thought, how beautiful is that when you have second graders that literally can't stay in their seats because they're so excited to write.
Cool.
It's just, I mean, amazing.
A couple things came to mind. I like bouncing all over the place. Last year, reading aloud. I think it was one of the Hatchet books, Brian's Winter, and one of the kiddos started, not even during that book, afterwards was like, that sounds like something Brian said. And they went and looked up the quote, and they said, well, maybe we should start a quote from all the characters we could learn from, as like how to be good humans. And so that year, they just kept collecting quotes on those things. Every year I do like a self-reflection at the end of the year of like, how many books do you think you read this year? How do you feel about reading those things? And over, I used to not read at all, and now I kind of like it. I love reading. Ms. Bachman always says, reading is thinking, those types of things, and just creating those readers. And one that really touched my heart recently was a kiddo with really poor attendance, and usually comes to school around 9 or 10 o'clock. Who doesn't really care about school, but he's not naughty. He doesn't like to do naughty things, but he just kind of sits there unless you nudge him along. The first chapter book, second. So I started reading Coraline out loud, and right off the first day, he's like, am I allowed to read that ahead? And I was like, you take it. And he took this book home. A kid that comes to school every late, brother takes him. I've never met the parents, these types of things. He read this book at home all by himself within like a week. And he said, is he picking up a book every day? But if I read out loud a little bit, he does the same thing. He'll grab that book. He found another one just last week, and he won't put it down. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Could you ladies guess about how many books you've read so far this year? That's another piece of the program, is just the amount of literature and texts that our students have read. I know it's totally on the spot.
I can tell you how many total there are.
Okay, that would work.
Okay, so
Do that.
there's 120 total books that teachers are reading to their students every year. So when you multiply that across from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade, they're just getting immersed in this massive amount of literature that's across genres, from fiction to nonfiction to poetry. It's just really incredible to see the variety of resources that our students are getting to hear and be immersed in.
And when we connect that to comprehension and test scores, lots of current research about how do we build vocabulary and background knowledge, read-alouds, variety of read-alouds, text genres. So super important piece. Yeah.
3rd grade developed response journals last summer during our summer work that go right along with each of the text sets. And this last week, since we're at the end of a trimester, we had a pause where we didn't do it for 2 days. I was the meanest person because they adored it. So today came out the next text set. I went ahead and started it even though we have 2 days. They were like, oh my gosh, finally, what is it? And so what they have to do is after we do the read aloud, there's always something they respond to that connects back to the text for the day. Today was a nonfiction set that came out about oil spills, and they had to say, what did the author want you to learn from the text? And it was interesting, and they were like, we should drive smaller cars, and they were coming up with all kinds of things. And usually we've also incorporated like an art aspect into it, but they just love it. I mean, it's not a grumble to get out this text set and write a response to me of what to connect with today out of the book.
So cool.
So it's been great.
Is this only at Titan Hill, or do you guys work with the middle school to keep it all going?
It's at Kreft, so kindergarten first, and then at Titan Hill 2nd through 5th.
And then it kind of, you just hope that it goes on? Or do you work with somebody at the middle school to know if it's following them?
The middle school uses a different resource, but they use a lot of the same instructional practices that we are implementing at Titan Hill.
Is anybody else?
I just want to say thank you. I love how excited you guys are when you talk about it. And there's a teacher up here that got my children very into reading in general, so it's just been fun to see their development because of what you are doing. So,
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Yes, thank you guys for coming.
Thank
For
you.
coming.
For having us.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. One thing I did want to mention about, before we move on from good news, is we had, did I already mention this? I don't think so. Dustin Kern, who's a middle school teacher. It just came out today, hot off the press. We've known about it for a while, but we haven't been able to say anything. He is the STEM Teacher of the Year for our region. So
Wow.
Awesome.
It's awesome. We put it on Facebook, and he's been recognized. He'll be recognized at the Capitol. So we, pretty, really great honor. Very, very cool. So, but haven't been able to say anything until just today. So super excited to talk about that.
Is there any other commendations or good news anyone would like to share? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to comments and suggestions. This is the first part in our meeting for which we open the floor to any public comments, or do we have anybody online? No? Okay. Okay. Well, we're listening if you're speaking, so. Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
And there is an updated personnel sheet, few ads on it.
Okay.
One of the things I'd like to point out is Kelly Vinchattel has been appointed the Kraft primary associate principal for next year. So she'll be serving with Desiree starting next year. So that's kind of the big announcement. So we're filled that position.
I'll give Al like a minute, and then we'll call for a vote on the consent agenda.
Need that Price is Right music.
Anybody want to start?
The Jeopardy
whistling
song.
the
Or Jeopardy, yeah.
Jeopardy?
Like when they're trying to guess the last phrase.
One of the things I would like to do is I'd message Emma over there as I'd like to get some kind of little token of appreciation for people who come in and speak to the board. So just something really small. It says, congratulations, you just spoke to the board, something like that. So I think we'll come up with something, because as we do have people lined up every meeting moving forward. So I want to make sure that we, if you come, it's kind of fun to, maybe we can give them a pen or something.
Yeah.
Pack of gum.
I was really
Some merch.
shocked. I figured the fire alarm would be a real hot topic.
Ouch.
I like it.
Terrible, isn't it?
Dad jokes.
It is terrible.
We can go ahead and
Really
call
wasn't
for a
bad.
vote then. I think we have enough people to
Yeah.
cover it for the consent agenda.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. Okay, moving forward to the superintendent report.
So we have a couple updates. One is I think we are super close at finalizing our negotiations with the Education Foundation, which is awesome. And so with that, we'll be soon prepared to send out contracts on March 17th. Hopefully we'll have that for you guys to approve, and then contracts to be sent out that night as well. It's looking like we're going to switch around some of the required reporting that teachers have to do, and so as a result of the negotiations, there'll probably be a new calendar as well. So that'll be going out for next year, just a small adjustment. So that'll be something that changes. I'm going to give a snow day update. So as of right now, we don't have to make anything up. We're sitting right at that threshold about the number of hours that we have to make up. So we're sitting pretty good. If we have any more big cancellations or anything like that, which I'm super excited to see that the snow this week's not going to roll until after our students are done with their reporting days. And then it looks like the following weeks are 60s and 70s. So knock on wood here that we're done. If so, we won't have to make up any time. We do have Iowa assessments coming up here in the next month. Those will happen in April. Board work session, and I'll be sending out a doodle for you guys to just as a date kind of organizer. You guys can select a date for the first strategic workshop in April. And then for the community, we'll be sending out a survey as a result of that strategic planning workshop to get feedback from the community on priorities. And that'll be going out in May, very beginning of June. And then from there, we'll continue our strategic planning sessions throughout the summer, and then hopefully have a new strategic plan in place for next year. So doesn't really impact everything that we're doing right now. It just provides us vision and feedback for where we need to be as we continue to move forward. Last thing I was going to mention is you guys will have a vote tonight for the weight room. That is, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We are engaging in conversations with some local entities and organizations and individuals about getting us some support in, we've kind of gotten to the point now where we're big enough that we probably need some additional emphasis on like weight room training. And so our teachers have done a great job leading that work up to this point. We're kind of at the point now where maybe having additional professionals come in and help guide what we're doing in the weight room, how we're doing it, those types of things, creating a variety of plans. It's kind of the next logical step. So we will be having some conversations around that. So that's pretty exciting for the development and safety of our athletes. So as you guys think about the new weight room addition and or the weight room renovation, keep in mind that that's just part of it. We're going to continue to evolve the program. And then the next part I have is facility project update, project advocates. I'll have you throw that up on the screen there, Dr. Hartman.
Ladies to Michigan Award so far.
Oh, very cool. Tell her congratulations.
Yes, yeah, both of them.
Very nice.
Awesome.
I told you, I said, Jesus, she looked like she wanted to actually be there this year. Will you zoom in just a little bit? So this is just update right here on where we're at. Scroll, there we go, perfect. So on track for the high school parking lot, exit lane, tennis courts. That'll all happen here, end of this month, beginning of the next month, as far as approvals go. Middle school parking lots next summer. Titan Hill parking lot and queuing lane will also take place at the same time. We'll be sending out that for bid soon. We just talked about the high school fire alarm. High school roofing will be taking place here. Actually, we had to put that back. We had an issue with the design, and so we had to kind of pull it off. We need to have another board hearing. We need to put it back on, just make sure we get everything correct on that, and then we'll receive bids. So those dates have actually moved from like 3/17 into April. High school mechanical, so not as a part of the bond, but as part of what we're currently doing. We're looking at updating the LED lighting possibly this summer, the monument sign, which is the entry sign as you come in. It's not worked for now, I think 2 years. Problem is it's very expensive to fix. That's why I haven't done it. But again, why have it if you're not going to run it? So we'll figure out. We're kind of coming to an end of what we're going to do with that. High school mechanical, we're expecting the chiller and the new units to be here in May. So we'll be installing those hopefully before the summer heat hits or kind of during that beginning summertime. So that'll be big. Middle school roofing, that's still on schedule. We'll have those back here at the end of next week to be able to have approved on the 17th. And then we are starting to engage in conversations with architects about the middle school renovation. That is a big project. There's a lot of nuances with it that we want to get architects on board now because we're being told planning process for that could be a year. So we'll start having interviews with architects for that. And then Titan Hill Mechanical, again, we're finalizing design for that and should have an idea of where we're going as soon as we get that design back. And then playground conversation, probably not going to be approved in March, probably will be an April agenda item. Still working through design with 3 different companies, haven't nailed it down yet to which company we want to go with. But one of those will hit. And then the secure entrance, they're to the point now where they're going to start sending that out for bid. So that way we can get that wall put in there. And then again, safety and security, when we're talking about all of the cameras, door sensors, weapons detection systems, those types of things, those are still on track. It just takes there's a lot of back and forth that goes into it to make sure that the specs are right. So you guys will have bids coming at some point for those. So that's kind of where we sit. Any questions about facilities?
Do the air conditioners of the gymnasium and the weight room come in at the same time as the chiller?
As the chiller, yeah. So, well, they're going to install them all about the same time. So.
Is there any, with it already being, it's crazy to think it's already March, is there, or do any of the bidding that we still have yet to do, is there concerns with the delay or how long it's going to take to get some of the material like in on time to start this summer? Because it's already coming up on like 2-3 months out from.
No, everything we've been told so far, so like.
No concerns yet.
The roofing material's not an issue, the parking lots aren't an issue, we're still sitting really, really good with that. The mechanical at Titan Hill, that could be a little bit of an issue, but because we're talking about a small boiler and a small chiller, they think it can be done because you can pivot and kind of pick one that's readily available. So that's not as big of a deal. Playground stuff is depending on the company you go with, 6 to 8 weeks out. So if we look at targeting in April, beginning of April approval, that still puts us, beginning of June, which we wouldn't be able to install until after school's out anyway. So everything timing wise is still working out. It's just, we got to keep moving. Like it's like every day I'm talking to people on the phone or project advocates or Jim Edelman and trying to make sure we're continuing to push forward. I mean, to your point, you set it aside for a week and don't come back to it. Well, now we're a week late. So it's a lot of work going on right now. But of course, my daughter's mad at me because I waited until after she's going to be out of Titan Hill to redo the playground. So I told her it's not about you, honey. First thing. Yeah, they're pumped. They let her hear it. So that's it. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, then we'll move into discussion items. 8.01, high school fire alarm.
So essentially what I need from you guys is I just need you to approve the fire alarm specs and RFP as presented. So essentially knowing that the estimated price is about $250,000, you just need to approve it as it's given to you. So.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, moving forward to 8.02, weight room equipment.
Same thing presented. We looked through several different companies. We went with the Sourcewell company. They have to give us government pricing. We push pedal pole. They provide dynamic equipment. For the last 2 years, we've set aside $100,000. So we had a budget that we knew we wanted to stay within at about $200,000. Started off looking at about 230. You tell the coaches, get what you need, and then from there, you're like, okay, get what you really need, you know? So started about 240, backed it off to about 217, down to 200, down to 168,000. So this is going to set us up for, I mean, the next 20, 30 years. One of the things we did do is when you walk in the weight room now, there's a lot of different equipment in there because we bought and stuff secondhand, used, et cetera. We just kind of piecemealed it together. The issue is they've just kind of kept throwing stuff in there. So one of my requirements is if we're going to do this, we need to get better lines of sight. And so by going with the same equipment, it all matches up well. It all, you know, it all hooks together. It's very linear. We're going to go from 25 stations that are in there right now down to 20 stations. Spread them out. There's going to be more space for the kids to work out in. We're going to have better lines of sight. So again, that's going to make me feel a lot more comfortable as a you know, somebody who cares about kids and wants to make sure that we're doing things the right way and safety wise. Every piece of equipment we put in there has, you know, specific safety ratings and guards and those types of things to make sure that we are, you know, lifting weights correctly. Again, part of this is kind of the initial investment, and then making sure that we maintain the equipment, that we keep it up. And part of that was renovating the weight room in general, putting new HVAC, which has already been improved in there, which is humidity control. We will strip the weight room down to nothing. We'll take everything out. I'm sure with all the moisture we've had over the years, there's a potential for mold, so we'll make sure we mitigate all of that before we put new flooring and new equipment back in. And then with the humidification control, this stuff shouldn't rust out like the previous stuff we've had. So yeah. We are also on top of this, so this is kind of the main equipment that's going to go in here. We're still looking into some different, right now, even though our lifting program really is designed around overall well-being, overall health, we don't have a lot of options in there. So this equipment is set up so we can actually add options. So for instance, right now we just do a lot of like weight training. We can throw in, we can purchase some items and do some velocity-based training with this new equipment. So instead of lifting heavy weight, if your goal is to be, you know, more explosive, leaner, we can do stuff like velocity-based training, in which we're actually just measuring the speed at which you're lifting instead of the amount of weight you're lifting, which then takes pressure off joints. So providing options for kids is really what this is about.
A couple of questions.
Yes.
I know you said they started at 230, now we're down to 168. Is there equipment that we're still going to keep in the weight room that's already there because it's not that old?
Correct, yep. So a big portion of that, probably about $30-some thousand, were bumper plates. So we will actually keep all of our bumper plates right now. They're used, but they're black. Like they don't look bad. The rubber's still on them. So we'll actually keep all of the bumper plates that are in there. We'll replace all the bars. All of the nicer stuff that we have will actually go over to the middle school because they're operating right now just on stuff. It's like old home gym equipment that I'm not even sure we should really have in there. So we're going to move all of the good stuff we have over the middle school. But yeah, all the weights will stay the same. All the kettlebells. We are replacing our dumbbells. There's some dumbbells in there that are so old they don't have numbers on them, and I'm like, just like guessing how much that weighs.
Yeah.
So.
And then, so do we have, I don't know, maybe it's hard to tell with weights, but if you look out to the future, are we thinking that if we keep those bumper plates 5 years from now, we probably should think about replacing, or, you know, we have maybe a bigger purchase? Yeah,
that'll probably be the next thing. It was, you know, we all have budgets, so how do we get within the budget that we had set for ourselves at that $200,000? Yep. If that means we take out the bumper plates for now, and then we set aside $10,000 a year for the next 3 years, and then in 3 years go back in and buy the bumper plates. Like that's kind of the goal is how do we don't need everything right now. We need to do it in phases, and we need to,
definitely.
And we want to do it right. We want to make sure. So that was one of the conversations we had was, we'll talk about flooring here in a second, but the original flooring had like platforms cut into it, you know, nice wooden platforms cut into it for powerlifting. We probably don't need that, you know, so that was something that we were easily cut out, and that cut out about $20,000. So this was kind of another cost-saving measure of how do we continue our goal of getting safe equipment in there without breaking the budget. So, yep, very much so.
You kind of already answered this, but some of the equipment that you said isn't that bad a shape.
Yes.
We're moving over to middle school, but with the remaining stuff, is that something we can sell?
We will. We'll have
community
to.
and stuff? Okay.
Yep, so they'll move all of it over to the operations building. They'll take pictures, and then we'll use a website called Purple Wave, and we'll put it on there and advertise it so people can come and get it. So if after the move, we've determined that it's unsafe, we'll scrap it, because we don't want to sell something that's when you tear down stuff, when you put it back together, if it doesn't get put together right, so it's hard for me to say, oh, we'll have 20 stations available. Well, if 2 of them break apart and don't put back together, we're not going to sell those 2, but we'll have the majority of what we take out. Some of the like the weights, like there's literally one dumbbell that I think or a set of dumbbells, I think they're 50 pounds. I don't really know. Like there's no numbers on them. There's nothing. That might be something that we end up sending, you know, to the metal yard. So, but, you know, we don't want to get caught in a liability situation either.
Will you guys repaint it too? Just make it look.
The whole place is getting repainted.
Good.
Yep. And new lighting as well. So
That'll be nice.
we have the old cage lighting in there that hangs real low, putting LED strips that are kind of raise the footprint. So,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, moving forward, and you kind of already touched on this, 8.03, the weight room flooring.
Yep, so this is the same thing. Our weight room flooring's not in great shape. There's a couple areas, I was wondering what that was. It was like gum that was pushed in the floor, I think probably 30 years ago, I don't really know. So, I mean, it's really fossilized is what's happened. But the biggest thing is when you look, the floor has actually bubbled in some areas where air has gotten trapped underneath. We've had so much humidity in there because there's no humidity control. I worry like what's underneath it. So the plan is we're going to take up the floor. We're actually going to move it into the small gym so we can put the weight equipment back on it, because we might be down for up to 2 months between equipment, flooring, HVAC, painting, etc. And kids need to continue to develop. So we'll relocate everything into the weight room. We have 2 weight room bids. Push pedal pole came in at like $42,820. Now this is minus, they're gonna give us a $3,500 credit if we do our own tear out. And then Kelly's carpet came in at $35,842, again, minus $7,000 if we do our own tear out. So my recommendation on this one is to go with Kelly's carpet for $35,842. They're both very similar products. Push pedal pole's product is a 10.5 millimeter product. That's just shy of, it's like 3/8 inch is what it is. And then Kelly's carpet is actually a 1/2 inch, so it's a little thicker rubber. It's black. I mean, there's nothing fancy to it. There's no decals. There's no platforms. It's literally a black floor. There's some specks of blue and gray in there, just to kind of give it a little bit of color. Plus, then if gum gets pushed into it, then you don't really see it. So, you know, got to think for that too.
Perfect.
Any other questions, comments regarding the weight room flooring? Okay, hearing none, we will move to 8.04, budget guarantee resolution.
So we will be eligible for the budget guarantee resolution for the 25-26 school year. This is based on the estimate that the state's going to come out with a 2 or 2.25% growth. That means that, well, the budget, I'll just read what she has. The budget adjustment is a safety net for districts experiencing declining numbers, and the school district shall be eligible for a budget adjustment in an amount equal to the difference between the regular program district costs for the budget year and 101% of the regular program district costs for the base year. We had a plan of resident students this past October. Now, our total enrollment is staying pretty stable, but our budget's always based off the residential students. So residential students went down, open enrollment went up a little bit, so we're sitting pretty stable. When we set the budget, it has to be off of our resident students. So this just guarantees that we're going to have at least a 1% increase in our overall budget.
Any questions, comments about the budget guarantee? Okay, we'll move forward to 8.05, van purchase.
We did. These are finding used 12-passenger vans, or like, seeing a unicorn in the wild. So when we stumble across one with pretty much less than 50,000 miles at an affordable rate, we just jump on it. So this one just happened to come through right before we were getting ready to send out our agenda on Friday. 12-passenger van from Edwards, 2022 Chevy 3500. They want, it's actually, I think I forwarded to you the actual price. Let me update that actual price. They were looking at some trade-in opportunity for a really old van that we had, and so they were going to give us $2,600 for that. Let's see, Edwards.
$37,490 it looks like.
Okay. So the recommendation would be total price here. So they wanted $39,990 for the vehicle, minus the trade allowance gets us down to $37,490. So that's what they were coming in at. Yeah, the $38,000 was what they thought they were going to come in at after trade-in. So they actually came in a little bit lower. So they came in at $37,490, gave us a little bit more for the vehicle. So.
Any questions, comments on the van? Okay, we'll move to 8.06, setting the date, time, and location of the first public hearing and setting the initial maximum property tax.
I'll let Andrea talk about this a little bit.
So this is our second year after the new legislation from 2023. So what has to take place this year is we need to, this evening, set the initial maximum property tax. So I can submit that to the county auditor. The county auditor will then send out the statement to everyone that is in the Lewis Central School District. That tax statement will also include any county or city taxes that a taxpayer may also have on there. It will also include the first public hearing that we will hold on April 7th at 6 p.m. So that has to be a meeting separate from a regular board meeting. So that will be prior to our April 7th meeting. That will also be published in the Nopperell and posted on the district website and district social media accounts in March, around probably the 20th. Then after we have the first hearing, we will post the notice for the second public hearing, and then we will have that one on April 21st. And then by April 30th, we have to submit our budget to the Department of Management and the county auditor. So what we will be doing tonight is approving the first public hearing to take place on April 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at the ERC. And we're going to be setting our initial maximum property tax. This number is the highest property tax that we can have of $20,785,821. This number right now, I have to take into consideration a lot of things that are still unknown. The legislature has not set the SSA yet, the Supplemental State Aid. So I am doing this budget without knowing the biggest factor of how much money we can possibly get for next year. So this number is higher than what I am expecting it to be, but without knowing what we are going to get for SSA, we have to set it at that highest one. My hope is that by the time that we have our first public hearing on April 7th, that we will actually know the actual number, and then from there we can move on with setting what that actual number will be and what the levy will be as well.
Any questions, comments? Okay, Hearing none, we will move to 8.07, employee requests for leave, closed session. So we have evaluated the request and have determined, based on the review, that it is necessary to hold a closed session under Iowa Code Section 21.5, 1 subsection I. Closed session is recommended to discuss this employee request for other paid or unpaid leave per Iowa Code 21.5, 1 subsection A. Closed session as appropriate to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential or to be kept confidential as a condition for that governmental body's possession or continued receipt of federal funds. Can I get a motion to move to closed session, please?
Motion to go to closed session.
Second.
Vote, please.
Mrs. Sheffel? Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. Good? Everybody got their mics back on? Brent, you're dark over there.
There we go. Thought people had heard nothing.
All right, coming back from closed session, we will move forward to comments and suggestions. This is the second part in our board meeting where we open the floor to any public comments or suggestions. Do we have anybody online? No? Okay. Then we will move forward to our action items. 10.01, high school fire alarm.
Mr. President?
Yep.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the high school fire alarm specs and RFP as presented.
Second.
Vote, please.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Wright?
Yes. 10.02, weight room equipment.
Go ahead.
You want me? Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the purchase of weight room equipment from Push Pedal Pull for $168,000 and $168,007.
Vote, please.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. 10.03, weight room flooring.
Mr. President, I'd like to make the motion to approve the weight room flooring bid to Kelly's Carpet for $35,842 and $5.05.
Okay. Vote, please.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. 10.04, the budget guarantee resolution.
Mr. President,
Yes, Al.
I'd like to make the motion authorizing the Board of Directors of Lewis Central Community School District to levy property tax for fiscal year 2025-2026 for the regular program budget adjustment as allowed under Section 257.14 of the Code of Iowa.
Second.
Vote, please.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. 10.05, van purchase.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the van purchase from Edwards Auto for $37,490.
Second.
Vote, please.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. 10.06, setting the date, time, and location of the first public hearing and setting the initial maximum property tax.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve setting the first budget public hearing on April 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Education Resource Center and setting the initial maximum property tax at $20,785 and $20,785,821. So I was used to.
Thank you for not setting it at 20,000.
There's a big difference between 20,000
I
and 20
appreciate
million.
that.
We're about to cut
Sorry
a lot of
about
people.
that. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Vote, please.
Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Wright?
Yes. 10.07, employee requests for leave for A or B. A?
This is one at a time. Mr.
Yes,
President,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the request for unpaid leave as presented for employee A.
Second.
Vote, please.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so for the employee request for leave for employee B.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the request for other paid leave as presented for employee B.
Second.
Vote, please.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shuffle? Mr. Sorensen?
Yes.
Mr. Sturm?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes. Items of interest, future board meetings. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be March 17th, 2025. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.